Hello, it's Rick again, and today I'm going to talk about my personal experience working Lesson 4 in A Course of Miracles. First, I'm going to read the lesson. Lesson 4. These thoughts do not mean anything. They are like the things I see in this room, on this street, from this window, in this place. Unlike the preceding ones, these exercises do not begin with the idea for the day. In these practice periods, begin with noting the thoughts that are crossing your mind for about a minute. Then apply the idea to them. If you are already aware of unhappy thoughts, use them as subjects for the idea. Do not, however, select only the thoughts you think are bad. You will find, if you train yourself to look at your thoughts, that they represent such a mixture that, in a sense, none of them can be called good or bad. This is why they do not mean anything. In selecting the subjects for the application of today's idea, the usual specificity is required. Do not be afraid to use good thoughts as well as bad. None of them represents your real thoughts, which are being covered up by them. The good ones of which you are aware are but shadows of what lies beyond. And shadows make sight difficult. The bad ones are blocks to sight and make seeing impossible. You do not want either. This is a major exercise and will be repeated from time to time in somewhat different form. The aim here is to train you in the first steps toward the goal of separating the meaningless from the meaningful. It is the first attempt in the long-range purpose of learning to see the meaningless as outside you and the meaningful within. It is the first attempt in the it is also the beginning of training your mind to recognize what is the same and what is different. In using your thoughts for application of the idea for today, identify each thought by the central figure or event it contains. For example, this thought about blank does not mean anything. It is like the things I see in this room or wherever you are. You can also use the idea for a particular thought which you recognize as harmful. This practice is useful, but it's not a substitute for the more random procedures to be followed for the exercises. Do not, however, examine your mind for more than a minute or so. You are too inexperienced as yet to avoid a tendency to become pointlessly preoccupied. Further, since these exercises are the first of their kind, you may find the suspension of judgment in connection with thoughts particularly difficult. Do not repeat these exercises more than 3 or 4 times during the day. We will return to them later. So basically, do them and let them go. And again, no judgment. Do not judge the thoughts to be good, bad, right, or wrong. It's like what we learn about our feelings. Our feelings are our feelings, and they're not good, bad, right, or wrong. There is no such thing as good, bad, right, or wrong. There's thoughts that may be harmful to us, thoughts that make us feel, disrupt our peace, I guess is a better way to put it. And thoughts that make us feel good to cover up our discomfort, to cover up what we're truly thinking. So I'm going to give you a couple examples today because this is a really good lesson for me. I struggle with this all the time. And I work so hard on it during the day. And I wake up in the morning sometimes having conflict with people that nothing has happened. It's all in my head. But it's all has to do with a deeper sense, which is my theme that my ego has written, is the theme of lack. And the theme of lack creates anxiety in me and makes me afraid. And there's nothing to be afraid of in reality, in the truth, nothing. Because there's nothing there. All there is really is love. We create in our minds the thoughts that create our fear or whatever is experiencing. In my case, it's fear. I don't want to project my ego thoughts onto yours, which is also something that I can do. The two examples I want to give you, and I want to give you a good thing and a bad thing, or what I would label good and bad things. They're not. Again, I want to repeat, they are not good or bad. But they are thoughts that my ego labels good and bad. And I'll do the bad ones first because of that theme I keep mentioning about the theme of lack. The lack of love, usually. And feeling unloved by my family or people that are close to me. I always feel like I love people more than they love me. And therefore, that belief keeps me thinking that I'm unloved. And that keeps me in this victim mode, in this mode of being alone and afraid. And I do it with my family all the time. And I saw a posting on Facebook from my older sister where she and her husband went to see the Phantom of the Opera. And my immediate thought when I saw that wasn't, oh, I hope they enjoyed it. But it was, they know that I like that sort of thing. They know that I would have loved to have gone there. Why didn't she invite me to go along? She never invites me to go along anywhere because she doesn't love me and she doesn't want to be with me and she never thinks of me. None of that which is true. All of that which are my thoughts, my ego thoughts to keep me separate, to keep that feeling of lack, that feeling of unloved, that feeling of fear going. And those thoughts are meaningless. They mean nothing. They have nothing to do with anything. Even if they were true, my sister did feel that way, they still would be meaningless and would mean nothing. That would be hers, not mine. And what is mine is that I allow my ego to perpetuate those thoughts and to keep them going, and I can go on and on with them to where I have myself totally furious with my sister, totally hurt and afraid that I'm going to be alone. So those thoughts are meaningless, and that's the only thing that's to come of them. And they mean nothing. And at this point, I don't need to replace them with anything because that's not where we're at. Right now, I just need to know that those thoughts are meaningless and to let them go. Another example of thoughts that we would label good thoughts, and forgive me for the quotation marks, but is that I just bought a house, a villa or a condo, I don't know what you call it, but I'm getting ready to move in a week, and I'm packing, and I'm feeling both scared and excited about it. the feelings that and thoughts that I would term as good, my ego would term as good, is that things are going to be so much better when I have my own place. I won't have to worry about moving when the rent raises. It's going to be my place. I can paint it. I can do whatever I want there. That it will be mine. It will be my home. And, you know, although that all sounds good and positive, you know, it's really covering up the truth of that, you know, I'm not home. Wherever I go, I take myself. So I'll take all those thoughts with me. And I still will have to deal with them and still pursue my quest to find the truth, to realize and awaken to my real identity as a child of God, and to be an extension of God. And God is love. That's what God is, so that's what I am. But my ego keeps me from totally knowing that, even though I do know that in some way now, after 4 or 5 years. But I still throw some thoughts that I would turn bad into that, by being afraid that somehow I'm going to lose the house, somehow I'm going to become homeless, somehow, you know, none of that's going to work out, somehow the home association is going to take the house away from me, for heaven's sake. So, you know, again, you know, I can take myself on that roller coaster ride of being unhappy and afraid. And that's all that all of those thoughts are. And that's all they accomplish. And again, they are meaningless. They mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing. And that's all we need to know. You may not relate to me about the fear and everything, but all that we need to know today, at this point, in this moment, is that those thoughts are entirely meaningless. Just like the things that I see in this room, in this place where I'm at. And I'm going to finish up with a little prayer. First of all, to ask the Archangel Michael to help me find my strength within, to be aware of my thoughts today, to be aware of the meaninglessness in them, and that's all. And ask Christ to take those thoughts and dispose of them, to free my mind to know who I truly am, to experience heaven on earth, and experience the peace of God, the joy of God, and the love of God. And I hope that for you too. Have a wonderful day.